Hello everyone, welcome to Sam's podcast. I'm Sam, and today I'm here with my good friends, Kirk and Anthony.
Hey guys!
Hello everybody.
And today we're here to talk about Arrow and The Flash, because they just wrapped up their seasons, and we want to talk about it, because, you know, it's fun.
Just a little bit, not too much.
There's not very much to talk about in these shows, really.
Yeah, they're all the same. Damn it, Kreisberg.
Tonally, just the same.
Same show, practically the same show. They could call it Flaro, for all I care. Welcome to CW.
I feel like this is inaccurate.
If anyone is listening that does not follow the Solomon Grundy podcast, Kirk and Anthony basically do their own little reviews on individual episodes as they come. But we thought, it's always interesting to do a sort of retrospective and look at where the series began and where the series ended, and is it better off from the way it turned out? So logically, the best way I can only assume we can do this is do one show and then the other, because that made the most sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to think we should start sad and then end happy, so do we want to do Arrow first?
Yeah, we can get that out of the way. Arrow's been here longer. It's the senior citizen, so let's go ahead and put this dog out of its misery.
Sure.
Let's tear this one a new one. So, the first place I would start at is, where would you guys say, what did you think of the season when it first started? Did you see was there any particular point where you said, this is as good as season 2, or I'm waiting for it to get better? What was the immediate reaction from either of you?
Kirk, I'll let you go first on this one.
Sure. The beginning of the season I thought started really hopeful in terms of it being just a really different season. After season 2 had such an epic ending with Slade's army attacking the city and what have you, and the fact that we had the city on the brink of destruction at the end of season 1 and season 2, the way this started, it started with some hope, and then Sarah was killed, and it was like, okay, so we're going in a few different directions here. Roy was now a full-fledged vigilante, and it was an interesting way to start the season. And when you look at where it ended up, it is funny when you sort of track each of the characters and where they ended up, because they ended up in very different places, I think, for a lot of them. But with the pilot, I thought it was a solid pilot. I remember seeing the trailer for it when San Diego Comic-Con released it, and I was thinking, this looks really cool. I was never a fan of the Olicity stuff, but they were going to be doing that anyway, so I figured, maybe they will just get it out of the way, and they'll figure out that they can't be together. And with the tease that Laurel was going to become the Black Canary, I thought, well, maybe that will spearhead that. I was wrong, but it left me with some hope, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I feel like the first half of the season is really enjoyable. Like you said, it's a very different feel, It's like, to compare this to something I guess a little similar, it's like the beginning of Spider-Man 3. New York loves him now. He's a big hero. He's
People
got
love me now.
A big ceremony coming up. They're giving him the key to the city. Like, he's now being welcomed into this life, and he's starting to accept who he is. That's kind of where this is. Like you said, Roy is now in a full costume. They're going out. They've become such a well-oiled machine at this point, after taking on Malcolm Merlyn and Slade Wilson and all that crazy stuff. Reaching a new point for him. It was just past that point, it tends to get a little muddled. I feel like we have all this stuff with Thea training with Malcolm Merlyn, and like I said, Roy, and like you brought up, Laurel training to be Black Canary, bringing in characters like Wildcat, which is a lot of fan favorites for people. We have all this stuff at the beginning, and then it's dropped halfway through the season, and so we're left to wonder, well, what happened to those characters? What are we supposed to follow up in these stories? It felt really big and important. The death of Sarah feels so important, because every episode is, who killed her? Was it this person?
Yeah.
No, they didn't do it. Was it this person? No, they didn't do it. Like, it was just a build up to who it was. And then once they find out, they change the story. So it's like, oh, well, this is more important now Sarah who?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's especially rendered, null and void now that they're going to bring her back for the for Legends of Tomorrow. So, which I feel really, I mean, we'll talk about season 3 and how its overall quality has left us feeling, but you could at least have had that resonate.
Exactly, and I think it really hurts. I mean, death in this show has really become sort of
yeah, it's become comedic.
Exactly, I was going to say it's become a joke, really. I mean, when you look at, the fact that the mid-season finale, was the death of Oliver Queen, and I've talked about this before, but, he was stabbed through the chest and then kicked off a mountain, like, whether or not, Raz missed any, important organs or whatever,
he was still stabbed and thrown down a mountain.
Yeah, and left there shirtless in the cold for, however long. And also, he would have broken every bone in his body and probably fractured his skull or severed his spine when he landed.
Right.
And yet he's brought back, and we keep on, at least I kept on waiting for a proper explanation as to why. All we get is that Katana gave him some herbal tea. And it's like,
have some green tea. Oh, yeah. Great.
And penicillin. That's
it's barely even said in the dialogue. It's just she puts some bandages on him, gives him some tea, and then it takes him a full episode. I was really ticked off that they didn't even leave an episode in between. I remember getting ticked off that they couldn't wait one issue before revealing that Peter Parker was still inside Otto Octavius's head. They couldn't even wait an episode. People don't have any faith in shock. And again, especially with Arrow, and it's season 3, the whole thing about letting things resonate, that's not even in their minds anymore. It's for shock, it's to get you for that next episode, and then it's completely dropped.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true. It's funny. I met Katie Lotz at one point, and this was before Oliver Queen had died, and after she had died. So I remember meeting her and being like, I really enjoyed your character, and I'm sure you'll be brought back in some shape or form due to Flashback or something. And she looked at me and said, I'm sure they have something planned. Now I realize, fuck, she was coming back the whole time.
Now, whether or not she knew that is one thing, but Are
you telling me CWs were last-minute thoughts about bringing dead characters back to life?
Now, forbid, no.
What would give you that idea?
Exactly.
And it should be mentioned that the big thing that's changed in terms of the writing is that the 2 head writers that are now running The Flash, whose names I cannot remember.
Kreisberg and Belanti?
Yes.
That would be it.
Guggenheim is not involved with Flash, he's just on Arrow.
Yeah. They got up, went over to The Flash, and then the new head writer became Mark Guggenheim, and that's
writer
probably
of the Green Lantern movie.
Indeed. And it seems like one of you posted a link to an interview with him a few months ago, which basically had him coming out and saying, we don't actually have any huge particular interest in pursuing an Oliver Felicity romance, but it gets the internet talking and it gets us traffic, so we're going to keep teasing it. And it kind of shows. I mean, I've never met the man. I don't know what his head thoughts are, but it seems to me like he's a bit more used to traditional marketing TV sense in a way that he sees everything as it's when you have the advert break and then they say something shocking to get you to come back afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, in his interview he just went on saying, he described part of his job as getting to enjoy what the internet sees. Like, he said whether they're going to do a full-on Olicity thing is 50-50. I can't tell you because part of my job that I love is seeing the internet react to what I have to say about them. Like, you can tell it's all geared towards them as far as what he wants to do. He's like, ooh, I love it when they freak out. He's selling it. That's the thing. He's selling it.
Yeah, it's not blasphemous to want to please your fans, but it's when you start shoehorning things that don't belong.
Exactly.
I mean, because what's interesting about season 2 is that it ended in such a way that it set season 3 up to be so good. We had, like you said, We had Roy finally being a partner. We had Laurel eventually going down the Black Canary. Like, this was supposed to be the season when she became Black Canary, and as much as they want to tell us she did, it was clearly not in the foreground.
No, not nearly enough.
It was when, especially
the Canary Cry is completely like a one thing.
Yeah, the Canary Cry was set up in the Flash. You know? That's how much they cared.
Yeah, and it was like 2 scenes with Cisco. Oh, hey, yeah, I need this. Okay, yeah, I made it for you. And
well, good thing I'm a genius.
Yeah.
What especially ticked me off as well was when in one of the episodes they were fighting, and Oliver Queen goes to, or the Arrow says to Laurel, "You need training." She goes, "When are you going to stop saying that?" "When you need more training." Which is supposed to be funny, but why doesn't he just fucking train her?
Yeah. And once again, she was being trained by Wildcat, who is, a character that DC Comics fans will know. And,
I mean, he trained her in the comics.
Yeah. There's like, even if you haven't, if you're unaware of that stuff, in the Justice League Unlimited animated series, that they have that big conflict as well, where Canary sort of first meets Green Arrow, and she's being trained by Ted Grant, and so that storyline was really cool, and he was an interesting character. It's not that they ever needed to do a whole lot with him, but the episode where they did focus on him, I thought was one of the best of the season.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's also the episode where we got the boxing glove arrow and stuff like that. was really fun, and I'm glad they did that. But at the same time, like we mentioned earlier, everything just gets dropped like that. When Ra's al Ghul comes in, they just drop so much of what they were focusing on and what they were setting up. Like, they were building towards Laurel becoming the Black Canary. She becomes the Black Canary in that, pretty sure in the same episode where Oliver gets stabbed.
Does she?
No, it's the episode after, actually.
Yeah, well, because there's the middle of the season is the Death of Oliver Queen, and we'll call it the Brick Trilogy. That's the transition from the first half of the season to the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Where we have what we were talking about shift into the Olicity of Ra's al Ghul story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much a checkpoint of bad.
Yeah, and that's like Anthony said, the Brick Trilogy. Suddenly we have 3 episodes where Vinnie Jones is the villain, and once again we don't see him ever again. I'm actually going to say these words. I kind of liked Vinnie Jones in these episodes. He's much better off playing like a Cockney thug as opposed to the Juggernaut. But he actually suited that role and was fine, and felt like it was cool because when Oliver was gone, it was kind of like, oh, okay, now we're going to focus on some of the, some of the stuff that made this show fun in the first place and different, was the street level stuff, and him fighting thugs, or at least the team fighting thugs and gangsters and that. And once that story is done, I mean, think about that 3rd episode in that trilogy. It's the Glades standing up against Brick's army, and Ted Grant becomes Wildcat, like full on. And we also had the return of what's her name? Sarah's friend?
Nissa?
Oh, Sin.
Sin, yeah.
I completely forgot about Sin.
Sin was in this season after she was sort of an integral supporting character in season 2.
Especially remember in the first half of season 1 where she's like going up to Lance being like, hey, that's not the Canary.
That's not Sarah.
Yeah, and he'd be like, what are you talking about? Of course it's Sarah, she's back.
Yeah. But that's another thing we should probably talk about is Lance, and just
grumpy Lance.
Yeah, he was, as soon as Sarah died and they didn't tell him, it was obvious, okay, this is not things are gonna be really sad for a while when Lance finds out. But I don't think they ever properly recovered from it, because they never properly followed up on it. They only slightly did in The Flash. So, yeah.
I mean, because the thing with Lance is that what's interesting is that it led the way for some terrific acting from Paul Blackthorne.
He's amazing. Yeah,
he is terrific, and he made me cry when he found out that Sarah died. He's just a brilliant actor, but what's interesting about the story that he's given is that it's not a story that we want to see. It's not one that you want to see play out, because it's going back to the whole he doesn't like the arrow, and how far can you exactly go with that story?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When he was so content with the arrow saving the city and being a vigilante, like, that's another thing. In the first episode of the season, you have Lance giving that speech about how I'm killing the vigilante task force deal, yeah, you know, like I said, you know that it's gonna not be great, you know, for a while when Lance finds out, but you know, you get to the last episode of the season and there's that throwaway line about how he's drinking again, and it's like
a throwaway line about his alcohol problems.
Yeah.
Whoa.
When this has been an ongoing thing with this character, and also, like, I was no fan of Laurel in season 2, but you know, that was such a big storyline for her, and she really came out on the other side to where she was one of my favorite characters in season 3. So, you know, the whole alcoholism thing in the Lance family is something that they focus on a bunch, and then for it to be a throwaway line about, oh, it's just 2 drinks a day, it's like, okay, well, you know, we didn't even, that would have been like such a powerful moment if we saw him finally take that drink, and it just be, I'm not saying I necessarily wanted them to do that, but they did it anyway, so they might as well have done it on screen, so.
You know, it makes me, it kind of surprises me when I think, God, he actually found out that Oliver Queen was the Arrow this season, and it felt completely underwhelming, and it didn't even feel real. Like, you'd think. I remember the reveal, first of all, was pretty awkwardly executed, because they just had it be on the TV, where Oliver Queen's the Arrow, we're gonna find him. There's no big turning like, and then and it just felt. It just felt like a completely backwards way of doing it, and it doesn't even feel like they're even thinking about it anymore, because like, everything in this season had a big up to something, had a build up to something that seemed interesting, and then instead of actually paying it off, it was dragged out, and it was done in the least interesting way possible. And like, I don't want to say, I know that Roy's my favourite character, but wow, did they just rape him.
In prison.
Oh no, literally.
August at it again.
Yeah, that's, I'm sort of getting sick of that being just a thing that we can do, and like that was also in the Flash a little bit of, August, they helped or whatever. It's sort of like S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Marvel cinematic universes, they can just, you know, fix it or you know, cover it up.
When in doubt, August.
They rely on a little too much to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember one of the creators saying that they were really looking forward to fleshing out Roy more in season 3, because I remember being quite underwhelmed with. I learned to like his development in season 2, but I mean, training has always been an awkward thing with these side characters, because they never quite get it. I mean, Roy had a couple episodes of splashing some water, but then he got the Mirakuru, and then he was just super strong, and then when he didn't have the Mirakuru, he could shoot bow and arrows just fine, which I thought was a bit okay. But I learned to, but he still came out the other side. It was still an important character-defining moment for him, so I let it lie and just jumped to the conclusion that, he got some training in between seasons. When Oliver died, you had a prime opportunity to actually have him take center stage, because besides that one episode, which might have been the same episode as the one when Bronze Tiger's sidekick came back, I loved that episode. It had great chemistry between Oliver and Roy. It connected well to the flashback story, and it was just good writing. It was just well done. And it cared about, you know, developing these characters. And then, like I said, you've got an opportunity to have Roy take center stage, and the 3-episode arc after Oliver died just basically became Felicity crying, Diggle crying, Roy crying. Like,
what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Laurel,
what the hell?
Roy, Oliver.
It was just dragged out, and it just felt there was a constant depression going on, and you should feel like the story is going somewhere, and all it felt like it was doing was treading water.
Mm-hmm. And the particularly, annoying thing about the story arc where Oliver's not there, where they presume he's dead, is how many times Felicity changes her mind.
Flip-flops.
Yeah,
we can't do this mission without him. No, we have to. Oliver would want it this way.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, she just keeps on changing her mind, and it opens pretty cool. I was excited to see what they would do, with Oliver Queen not in the show, and I said, you've still got him there because he'll be in the flashback scenes. Just keep him there, and just have him off the show for 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said earlier, they couldn't even wait 1. But when we were seeing Dig as Green Arrow, and and it was Roy being the one that talks to Lance. He's a detective. Oh, hey, Harper.
I don't know what you... It's like he's trying to play it off.
Yeah. That stuff was really fun. And also, Canary's taking on people on her own, and then in comes Harper, who's like, we need to talk. And, that stuff... I know this show gets a lot of crap for being Batman light, and in some ways rightfully so, but, that stuff was very, Robin and like Catwoman sort of esque stuff. And I like that. That stuff was really cool. If you're going to set up Black Canary this way, having Roy be the one that's like, we can work with you, because...
Yeah, because you can say that, because obviously Oliver, who's had a relationship with him before, would be like, no, absolutely not.
Oliver's more protective.
Dead. I don't need you dead too.
Exactly.
That would make more sense if they were actually teasing that, but, they're teasing other things. But the fact that Roy can be that middle ground where it's like, listen, you shouldn't be doing this. That being said, I know you're going to do it anyway. I'm not stupid, so...
Because he was the same way in season 2.
Exactly.
So.
He was in that same position.
Yeah. Remember, he tried to help Green Arrow, and Green Arrow shot him through the leg with a arrow?
What a guy.
What a swell dude.
Good times.
So, yeah.
I mean, when I think about season 2, and I think about all that Slade stuff, each episode upped the ante. Every single time it got closer to that finale, you really did not know how they were going to get out of this. Season 3, there's nothing like that. We have had the most underwhelming impression of Ra's al Ghul on the planet.
On the planet.
But there's zero gravitas there. He's not intimidating. He's got an accent.
Yep.
And I mean, like you were saying, Anthony, about his whole prophecy, about this whole bullshit prophecy thing. I didn't catch on to that the first time they mentioned it, and then they made a big thing about it in the finale. When was it revealed that this was actually prophesized?
I guess Ra's al Ghul just decided it once he saw Oliver Queen was alive. He was like, oh, well, I mean, the blade, I missed,
pierced his body.
I've never heard of penicillin.
The blade that pierced your body came from my sword. Therefore, you must be the new Ra's al Ghul.
Came from his Gilda.
From his trailer.
Yeah, so the Ra's al Ghul of this show, I really did not care for him at all. And then there was a point where it felt like he was starting to get a little better.
But he's combed his hair.
They combed his hair back.
He started having his hair back.
Yeah. He wasn't sounding so Australian, and he started doing more Ra's al Ghul-esque things. Like when he killed Thea in that episode, he slammed a girl like this.
It.
Yeah, just a small girl through a glass.
No hesitation. Yeah. No sense of like, I can't handle this, just I'm Ra's al Ghul. I can handle anything.
Exactly. And just like this sheer not even aggression, it was with ease, like he did
exactly.
it.
Exactly. It was the opposite, yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
That was the one time he was intimidating, but they didn't, like even when, because then they followed up with him, like the next episode, telling Felicity that you should go to Oliver.
Yeah,
it's like, okay. Yeah, him shipping it like a,
This is my OTP. You have to do this.
God. That made me laugh a lot. And then they followed it up with the most awkward sex scene in the world.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, those two just they never work throughout the entire season. They don't work. It's like that in the finale. And we'll skip ahead of this. The spoiler alert, people listening. What are you doing? The part where Olicity shows up in the Atom armor.
Oh fucking hell!
Is like, I could kiss you right now, and Oliver's reaction is just to stand there
and smile
smile and be like, yeah. Not me. I don't want to kiss you.
Yeah, it's so funny. These two have really good chemistry as two people who work together. You know, they had good chemistry in that very first scene they did in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's like this quirky sense of humor to her. She really works as that character, and as soon as they try to start sexualizing her and, you know, she and Oliver as this thing, I don't know what the reason is. I'm not sure if it's Stephen Amell having a wife or I don't know what it is.
He has a baby now.
Yeah,
I
can't do it. But like he was completely fine with Laurel. You know, like I believe them. Yeah, I don't believe Felicity and Oliver.
Oh yeah, I mean, that season 1 sex scene is great. Put that on the back of the Blu-ray box.
Can I just say, actually, I think a really good scene in this season was when Laurel found out that Thea / Malcolm, whichever way you want to look at it, killed Sarah. She approached Oliver and tested him to see how much of an arsehole he was. And she says, you know, oh, I really hope we find her killer. And he says, yeah, so do I. And then there's just that great scene that great moment where she just goes, how do you do that? And she basically just tears him down and just says, I can't believe I was in love with you once, you're just a liar. Yeah. And all this kind of stuff. And I just wish we had more of those scenes. Because there's a history there, and the actors just work. And Felicity feels like she's in a different show.
Yeah. And it was funny, because when she came into The Flash the second time, it no longer felt like she belonged in that show either. I just don't know where she belongs now.
She doesn't.
She belongs in the bin.
Yeah, maybe season 4 will start off like, what are you doing here? Flick, flick, flick.
She falls off. Yeah.
I wonder if that's what they're setting up, if they're literally just going to kill her off. Because I'm not sure if they will have the balls to do that, not after this season anyway. But that's the most logical way I can see him becoming Green Arrow again, and then kind of giving the fans what they want, and then going back on track with Laurel.
I don't know. It's interesting because, I mean, obviously, if he's going to become Green Arrow, it's got to be something a bit different from like a tragic event, because he suffered so many tragic events already. You know, what's going to be like, oh, I got to go back into the game. I mean, it very well could be the Flash finale that affects it.
Yeah.
You know, because Guggenheim has said, as far as the Arrow season 3 finale, he thinks that if fans want to, they can see this as the series finale. If certain fans would like to, they can see that as Felicity and Oliver driving off into the sunset. Literally.
Wanna see you again.
Yeah, you know, I feel like, you know, if he's saying that tells me that the status quo is going to be changed next season, and maybe that'll change a few opinions on Olicity. You know, if the whole reality-changing event that Flash is doing right now affects Green Arrow at this point, you know, he could just become Green Arrow. Yeah. And then fans, like he said, fans who want to choose season 3 as your finale, you can, and that's it. Because season 4 will do something different.
I definitely think we'll be seeing Green Arrow next season.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what they're teasing, isn't it?
The Arrow.
That's their big teasing thing at the moment. It's like, you didn't like season 3? Well, don't worry, we're going to call him Green Arrow next time. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, well, don't worry, you know, the Arrow is done. Stephen Amell's never putting the Arrow suit on again. He's no longer Arrow, even though in Legends of Tomorrow he's wearing the Arrow suit, and he'll be at SummerSlam with the Arrow suit fighting Stardust.
Exactly.
Just saying. So. Either way, it's just a little funny that obviously they're pushing Green Arrow.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, he's done with Arrow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh god, it pissed me. It pissed me off so much when they did season 2 at the beginning, and they said, "So what do you want to be called?" And then he looks at his arrow, and then he just calls it Arrow. I was like, oh come on.
Yeah.
Dragging it out some more. But season 2 was good anyway, so that saved it. That was just a nitpick, but. It's a bit like, what have you got? You're doing the Flash. What have you got to be embarrassed about?
You got a guy named Captain Cold.
Yeah.
Like they've had a throwaway line where Cisco says, you know, if you wear green and he wears red, like shouldn't you be called the Green Arrow and the Red Arrow? It's like, well, we call him Arsenal. Like they could have done something like that.
Yeah, I was hoping for that.
Arrow.
I was expecting a line drop about when him and Merlin are together and someone says, so he's just think of it, Black Arrow, Green Arrow, or something like that. Oh, so
well,
easy.
Dick's not in this. That he's
hey.
he's the light driver.
What the hell, Merlin? And poor Diggle, like they gave him a kid, and all he does is Shipp, Olicity, and moan.
Yeah.
Yet he was probably the most consistently written character, if I'm going to admit it. If I think about it, because he's really pissed off at Oliver, and I would be too.
Yeah, rightfully so. He's an asshole. He kidnapped his wife.
Yeah, can I say as well, I don't like any of the characters anymore. This really has made them. What's weird about? I mean, perhaps I like Laurel, but she's just not getting anything. What's annoying is that the whole season had characters flip flopping back and forth on their moral codes, and Oliver didn't know if he was a killer or what he was doing, why he was even Green Arrow, and I was watching it thinking, what on earth is the end game? What are we supposed to think about these characters, and how are we supposed to root for them when we don't even know who our heroes and villains are meant to be?
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the one character I did like, they fake killed off and then got rid of him, and then they got rid of any hope of him coming back by having Thea in the red suit. Fuck you.
Yeah, I don't get why Roy isn't there anymore. Like these people who have said to me, "Oh, it's because he didn't, his contract's up." So
did Colt Hayes not enjoy it then? Did he not want to come back for more? Did he really just need to promote San Andreas?
That's what
he's like, guys, I'm in the mood with a rock now.
Yeah,
you guys
is he going to officiate a wedding? Yeah.
He's bigger than you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, it could have just been like, hey, he's gone, but the possibility is there. But the fact they took away the possibility is the annoying thing,
Like, why is he not one of the characters in Legends of Tomorrow?
It's a good question.
Really?
I mean, perfect.
Yeah. And are they going through with the Teen Titans show? Is that definitely happening?
Yes.
That is definitely happening.
That's a ways away, though. I mean, that's still...
Yeah, they shoot that pilot sometime this year. But it's kind of like... I don't know, if that's... Because that's a TNT show. Do they want to set that in this continuity? Because, like with Supergirl, where Superman exists, in that show...
Batman exists.
So...
Right.
And I've said before, I'd be fine with them just setting that a little ways in the future, but in the CW universe. And they don't have to be like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and reference things in the mainline continuity as, every chance they get. Make it more like Daredevil, where you can have throwaway, references to Green Arrow or whatever.
Yeah.
We're never going to get a Batman TV show in the CW universe, so, just...
Probably for the best.
You just reference the characters that you need to reference, then you're fine.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and I'm happy to see that Supergirl also is fully embracing the Superman stuff.
Oh, yeah. That is just a straight up
it took us, like, what, 3 decades, but they're finally just not worrying about that stuff anymore.
It's funny, there's more Superman in that Supergirl pilot than we actually saw of Superman in the finale of Smallville.
Well,
Just saying.
Actually, I was watching telly and I flipped over and Smallville was on. And I haven't watched Smallville since it ended. Funnily enough, because I kind of realised from that finale the show was not very good.
It took you that long? Oh shit, this was bad the whole time.
If I hadn't figured it out by that point, you can bet the finale killed me.
Oh, yeah.
But it was an episode from the final season, and Hawkman was there, and it had their really crappy version of Slade Wilson, their old man Slade Wilson.
Yeah.
And the effects were always kind of crap, but it was just really bad.
Yeah.
And he dies as well, but he has the slowest death on the planet. It goes on for like 5 minutes, and I turned to my dad and I said, "Do you reckon his little chest light thing is going to go out?" And he went, "Yeah, it will. It will. It's that cheesy." And then he dies, and then the light goes out. And we both go, "Yay!"
He was a robot.
He was Iron Man.
And like, also after that, Clark gets so mad that he sends Slade Wilson to the Phantom Zone. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, with a rubber S that they probably give out as a keyring.
Yeah. Slade just uses his eyepiece. He gets out somehow.
Well, that was we completely changed topics there. Arrow, yeah.
Should we talk about the use of Slade in this season?
Okay, this is going to be a short conversation.
There is none. Move on.
Yeah.
I really like how Manu Burnett basically came out and said "fuck you" to the writers.
Yeah. He's like,
Good on him.
Wasn't Slade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how he's become such a huge fan of the character ever since he was put into that role back in season 1. He's really just fully embraced who that character is, and as a Slade Wilson fan, that makes me so happy to see that he has become a fan and knows when he's used correctly and when he's not. And so when you use the main villain of season 2 and bring him back in a throwaway episode, it's really disappointing. You take this character that was the ultimate threat and you bring him down to, a low level. It's so just like, oh, why? What was the point of that?
Yeah.
And it's like, this is more of a nitpick, but in that episode, they have another man on that island who's not even seen.
Yeah.
They have another supervillain on that island.
Yeah.
And he's like mentioned in passing.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a little weird. Like, how many chambers does this freaking Argus room have?
Like, we were sort of, and I guess a lot of us sort of were picturing when they said that they took Captain Boomerang to the island, was that he was going to be in a cell right next to Slade.
Yeah, because it's a small room. I mean, we saw it in season 2. It was small. It's like it was just into the one room down there.
Yeah.
Because why would you have more rooms if it's a one-man jail cell?
Apparently they've built like a huge prison.
Just like Slade's in there, you hear, oh, it's constructing over there.
Yeah.
Wonder why. They give me a pool.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah, and like you don't want everyone to think that Slade was only powerful in season 2 because he had like physical strength with his Mirakuru. Because he's a fucking smart villain.
Yeah,
and
this is like the whole thing is that no, Slade Wilson is more than just a guy that punches. And from this, it was like, I guess he was just a guy that punches. He does have his bit where he escapes and they have to find him, but then he's dumb enough to wait for them to show up so that he can fight them.
Doesn't he literally just run up to them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna fight you, Oliver Queen.
There was
although there was the amazing bit when did he just go, yeah, or something?
I was going to bring up the exact same thing. He starts charging at me and he goes, oh yeah. Amazing. I love Tony Bennett more than life itself.
That's pretty. I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
great man.
Throw away completely.
Yeah. So, anything else we want to talk about with Arrow?
I got nothing else.
Not a good show. A lot of pushing of things that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, we don't like it.
Green is garbage. Dig is garbage. Deadshot dies because of movie rights. The characters no one cares about. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Oh, I did think of one thing, and it goes to show how underwhelming it is that we didn't even talk about it. The flashback scenes.
Oh god. Maseo can go to hell.
Maseo, yeah. Now, how integral were the flashback scenes, the island scenes in season 1 and 2? In season 1, it had its own story with different characters to the point where everyone was hoping that they'd spend a whole episode on the island, and they pretty much did, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the best episode that season at that point.
And then in season 2, they did it at the same time as they did the season before, and it was also where Slade was in Queen Mansion in present day. Amazing episode.
So good.
And my criticism about the season 2 island scenes were that we were focusing on, apart from Oliver obviously, the two characters we were focusing on were Slade and Sarah, and they were two characters that we had in the present day as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I
But
thought
at least they were different versions.
Exactly.
You got to see why we're here now in the first
yeah,
place.
yeah, there were two different versions of, especially Sarah. She got to really play two different characters, and so going into this season, I was pretty upset that they took him off of the island to begin with, because I thought, well, for this whole time it said after 5 years on an island. So,
yeah, that was a clear bit of backtracking there. For 5 years in hell. Oh, okay.
He's in hell. So now he can just go anywhere. Yeah.
I was fighting the devil.
In the Caribbean. This is hell.
So when he goes to Hong Kong, and it straight off the bat, we're like, okay, so we're getting back to him only having characters that we don't see in present day with Maseo and Katana. And then when it's revealed that Maseo is a member of the League of Assassins, it's kind of like, oh, well, I wonder how he gets there. But
And he just showed up at their door.
Yeah, exactly. And then we start focusing on this really bland character in both continuities. It's like, oh man.
Well, that was the thing. It doesn't tie in until way, way later in the season when they bring in the Alpha Omega virus.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, right, the thing.
Yeah, it was quite literally like, oh yeah, there was actually a point to this.
Yeah.
What confused me was that. Yeah. What confused me was when they. Again, because they have no faith in letting things play their course, they didn't even have faith to. I'll give them this. They let us believe that Oliver was evil for one episode.
Yeah.
That was it.
Oh, yeah, when he jumped off the building and killed himself.
And then they pussied out. Then they pussied out, and he reacted to the Omega coming up. But what confused me about that moment and that episode was that later on, they're all supposed to believe that Oliver has been brainwashed to be really, straight talking and all that kind of stuff, and Maseo's not meant to suspect them. But then when he goes to talk to Oliver, Oliver's like, you can leave and all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, if Maseo has half a brain, he's going to figure out that Oliver's a good guy.
And he also saves Oliver from, I guess, dying in the snow. And we are told that he does that because in the flashbacks, he says, Oliver, forever now you were in my debt, I'm in your debt, or whatever. And it's like, because he saved his family, or, found the coordinates of where his wife and child were. But I guess after he saved him that one time, I guess that was it, that was the debt. And so he's okay bringing Oliver back to Ra's al Ghul later or whatever. It's, yeah.
We haven't talked about Ray Palmer.
Who?
Ray Palmer.
Ray Palmer? What? You get the show?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Brandon Routh. Love the guy.
Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very clear. It was very obvious that was the intention. That was the plan at the beginning. They wanted to do Blue Beetle. They couldn't because is he going to be in the movies or something?
I don't know. Pretty much it was Warner Brothers and DC Comics. Like whenever they were talking about Harley Quinn and they wanted her for Suicide Squad, it was Warner Brothers who said no. But when they brought up Blue Beetle, it was DC and Warner Brothers that said no, we have plans for him. Which makes me scratch my head because obviously there's no fucking, what are they going to use him in a movie?
No.
And I really don't think of anything for a show or anything like that. And there's nothing going on with him in the comics. They teased some stuff in Jeff Johns' Justice League book, but they haven't done anything with him since. So that just means I have no idea, really, and it would have worked so much better with Blue Beetle, just because Blue Beetle is, for those of you who don't know much about Blue Beetle, he's like Batman if he were more gadget heavy. He's like, what's his name? Night Owl from Watchmen. He's got like the same sort of ship and everything. Okay. He's like a dude who, I know you know. I'm talking.
I don't know. This is news to me.
Yeah, he's very much like a gadget guy.
I know Jaime Reyes.
He's fuck Jaime Reyes. Oh, it's the worst. But Ted Kord is like Batman instead of being more detective ninja heavy. Right. He's gadgets and gizmos and whatchamacallits.
Yeah.
And Blue
Beetle.
Yeah. Poor Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
That's my first comment. Poor Brandon. I'll say this, for what he's given, he did the best job he could do. He tried as hard as he could to make that character likable, as much as they kept having him just mainly be an obstacle for Olicity.
you know, he is such a good actor, and just before we started recording this, I was flicking through channels, and HBO was showing Superman Returns, and I started watching some of it, and he is so good as Superman. He's very stoic. He just looks good in the suit, but his Clark Kent is so funny. So it makes sense to make him sort of a comedic kind of character, and have him. There's a reason why he and Felicity get together, because they are so similar in their quirky personalities, and you know the reason why people liked Felicity as a character in the first place, I guess they tried to do to Ray, yeah, and you know it's not his fault that they don't really have the budget to do him properly.
They shouldn't have done that then. They shouldn't have made him Iron Man.
Yeah.
If you don't have the budget to do it, don't do it.
Exactly. They decided to take the Atom, who is purely scientist. He's, you know, I know obviously power-wise, but as far as character-wise, Atom and Hank Pym are somewhat similar in the fact that they're obsessed scientists who are all about discovering new things. They're not. They're like, you know, like Reed Richards. They're not superheroes. They're explorers, adventurers, trying to figure out the new thing to forward humanity.
Yeah.
They're not someone that's like, I have to do the right thing, citizen. You know, they're not.
Yeah.
Not those types of people. Yeah. So to make him like, I'm gonna stop all the crime in the city and become Iron Man,
which he didn't do.
Really weird. Like, why would he do that?
And notice how the only thing he ever did in terms of crime when he had his costume was go and stop the Arrow.
Yeah, what a good
that was the only time he ever pretended to be a superhero, and every other time he just hung out in his lab as he asked Felicity to fix stuff.
He did fight the bees in Flash.
Fought the bees.
He fought the bees.
And I mean, I thought him and Felicity worked. I thought they worked really well. I mean, as maybe not amazingly, and again, we never really got to see him expand or stretch himself as a character, because he was only interacting.
Stretch. He's not Mr. Fantastic.
But I mean, he didn't talk to anyone outside of Felicity, like for ages anyway.
No, he didn't. No. You know, there's a comment I left on a video a while back that still gets like little pluses to this day, which I'm proud of. And it was a video from season 2 where Felicity's like telling Oliver to go stop Slade. And I left a comment like, season 2 Felicity, you know, do whatever it takes to stop Slade Wilson because he's bad and you have to do this. And it's like season 3 Felicity, like, oh, you're working with Malcolm Merlyn to stop an evil threat that only you two could accomplish? Oh, I hate you. I'm going to go sleep with Ray Palmer for no reason.
Yeah.
You love me.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that character just took a completely different turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a visual effects artist, but how difficult is it to just have the guy shrink and then just cut away or something? Because that's got to be cheaper than showing the guy flying. That would have been so much cooler.
Yeah, and shooting laser beams and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, like, because one of the things, as much as we don't compare, we know that Marvel and DC have in the back of their minds, we want them to show that they can do different things. So, for instance, we want them to show that they can do super speed on TV. We want, you know, what am I trying to get at? I'm trying to get at the fact that DC/CW had the opportunity to have Ray Palmer crikey, my brain's gone. What's his name? The Atom, thank you. They had the chance to have him shrink before Ant-Man in the same year, and they kind of didn't take it.
They blew him up.
Remember that the last thing we see of him is he blows up his building, and the
which played more funny than it did worrying.
The letters on Palmer fall down, and it spells Legends of Tomorrow.
And then it cuts. It hard cuts away.
That. The editing in that finale, and you know, maybe this is because I do editing and whatever, but just so weird. Like, he blows up, they suddenly cut to, I'm not sure if this is how it exactly goes, but they cut to Felicity and Oliver driving away, and that scene goes about 4 seconds. And it's just like, I'm happy. Cut.
I'm happy.
Yeah. I'm happy. And can I add, the finale was fucking terrible.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
How did they Wow, because I was even I remember watching the trailer for it and them showing the my name is Oliver Queen.
That is how
he's Slade now apparently. And I at least expected that to come later in the episode, but no, it happens 5 minutes in.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be badass, but it wasn't. And then I see people commenting like, "Oh, that bit was so amazing." The episode was confused and it had no idea where it was going. I've already forgotten how they defeated Ra's al Ghul. I've already forgotten what happened to Ra's al Ghul.
Straight up kills him. There's no clever way to get around it. Well, to be fair, his initial idea of crashing a plane and killing everyone failed. So
killing everyone.
I'm sorry, Oliver Queen, your plan of killing everybody failed.
Yeah.
So instead, he just stabs him with a sword and is like, well, guess what? You're done.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I'm glad you had to think of something to overcome that. Like, his whole plan in Season 2 is to trick Slade Wilson into thinking that Felicity is the one he cares the most about, so that she can be there, inject him with the cure, fight him, and hopefully take him out without killing him.
Yeah.
There's a whole sequence about it. That's the whole plan. In this, it's just...
Yeah,
and then he's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
And then, of course, all it led to was Felicity going, "Oh, you were prepared to kill yourself? I'm gonna start crying again."
Yeah.
You risked your life? What?
You were gonna sacrifice yourself to save everyone in this city?
For the greater good?
Oh, God, you are just a...
Where's Ray?
Yeah.
If you do that, Oliver, I can't have more sexual intercourse with you.
Yeah. She's just thinking about that green D.
Remember whenever they injected Ray with nanobots?
Yeah!
And that, fixed his cancer or something?
Oh, yeah, that's
right. But it didn't, they had this whole setup.
Fixed his cancer? No, he got stabbed, remember?
He had, something wrong with his head, right? Remember, he hit his head. And
maybe.
So he had, a blood clot.
Right.
And so the nanobots fixed the blood clot. And so you're telling me that they injected him with shrinking robots and didn't do anything with that. He was just fine afterwards.
Yeah.
There had no repercussions.
He wasn't experiencing anything weird like, I woke up 3 inches shorter today.
I woke up 3 inches tall today.
Yeah.
Nope, nothing.
Yeah, the whole season feels like an onslaught of plot points that don't mesh. Like, I think about how it started. Do you remember how much more hopeful it seemed when we all thought Ra's al Ghul killed Sarah?
Oh, yeah.
Like, just the prospect of that. I mean, who knows whether it would have played well. But just the suspense and the mystery. And then it was just Thea killing her that Malcolm filmed on his iPhone.
It was mind control
don't
Thea
start with that.
For some reason.
Yeah. So Sarah, when she turned around, she saw Thea standing there with a bow and Malcolm Merlin filming with his phone.
He was like laughing on the camera.
Checking
He has
his
steady
Instagram.
hands too.
Oh yeah.
They should hire him to make Man of Steel.
Oh my goodness. Remake it.
And also, that doesn't work. Hello, Sarah. What are you doing here? It would actually be. It would be. Oh, Thea. Oh, what's up?
Who?
Start.
Yeah. I have to say, I do enjoy Malcolm Merlin this season.
Yeah.
I feel like there's nothing that makes him not Malcolm Merlin. When we get the Malcolm Merlin episode with the flashbacks, that
was a
episode
good
is really
episode.
good.
That was a good episode.
You know, and it shows that he was once a human being, and that's really great.
Yeah.
That's the magician. Yeah. That's a really good episode. And I feel like, and I think we had talked about this in a video that won't come out, our Arrow discussion.
Yeah.
There is a possible theory that could work, that he's been planning to become the new head for a while, and that could lead to him doing all this, and why he decided to work with Oliver and, turn against certain people. It's not the strongest theory, but it can work.
Yeah.
Not to mention it ties into Legends of Tomorrow with him bringing back Sarah.
Yeah, he brings back Sarah for Nyssa. That's why she's alive in Legends of Tomorrow.
Presumably. I mean,
that's the theory that we have. So, I mean, bringing back Sarah works in that respect. So that she's died and come back 3 times now. So
won't Sarah's body is going to be bones at this point?
No, they'll probably find it perfectly fine.
Oh yeah, she won't even be blue. She'll just be straight up Sarah.
Yeah, she's got her makeup on and everything.
Yeah, she's already in a white suit.
And that shot when she comes out of the tub, they'll cut just before we see her ass, so we don't even have that. We don't even have that to look forward to.
God damn it. But yeah, like you are right. She should be decaying by now. It's been like a year.
Oh, maybe the
Took your time.
So just be like damaged. That's all.
Can you imagine her reaction when she wakes up? What happened? Well, okay, so Roy isn't the Red Arrow anymore. Oliver and Felicity are together forever. I'm the new Ra's al Ghul. The real Ra's al Ghul is dead, we think. And it would just be, and she's just gonna go.
Well, it's like, remember when Thea woke up from the pit, and it was like, my brother is dead. Who are you? Malcolm's my father, and my mother is still alive.
Yeah.
It's like, what were any of those things lined up?
Yeah, and now,
that pissed me off as well.
And then she was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. Like, especially, why would you put in the lines before about how it messes someone up if you're not gonna do it?
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe
that just
Malcolm
shows
didn't know.
that just shows you're not thinking about what you're writing at all. And because he stops Oliver and they have this exchange a couple times at least. It will change her. You don't want to do this. And Oliver going, I'm gonna do it. And then
Malcolm
and
is
then
legitimately worried for his daughter, and Oliver's just like, no, I gotta bring her back. And then it doesn't matter, so it makes Malcolm look like, well, do you even know what the Lazarus Pit does? Because apparently it doesn't do what you think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the fact that the Lazarus Pit is able to, that whole episode, the whole point of the Lazarus Pit is to prove that you shouldn't play God.
Yes.
Is to prove that you shouldn't have this power. It's like Jurassic Park. You don't do that. We were not meant to tread in that area of life and death. It's not our place, and if we do, then we're going to pay for it. Or you just get your sister back and everything's hunky-dory, and she will have momentarily lost a bit of her memory.
Just
and
confusion, general confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she woke up and she was, her timeline was completely out of whack, that's an interesting theory to run with. Like, none of it lines up. But if they wanted, they could have run with that a bit longer, just to show, okay, the Lazarus Pit just messes up your mind completely. But it just, she was fine by the end of that episode, completely fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, considering we have in The Flash, where we have an explanation as to why Vibe has those, like, premonitions of a previous life.
Yeah.
Where we have an actual explanation. To do this, that's so just sloppy and just put together, is just insulting. To compare those two shows where they have similar ideas, is just like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing's explained in the show. Why is Oliver alive? Why does she think this? And it's like, why do characters do what they do?
Yeah.
None of it's thoroughly explained.
Exactly.
But that's all just to the writers. That's nothing. The more important thing is that everyone ship Olicity.
Oh yeah, we gotta throw in the random things like, people will love it that Oliver Queen has the shirtless sword fight with Ra's al Ghul like Batman did. It's like, no, we would like it if Batman did that.
Yeah. To be fair, that one had a nipple dance.
Had a nipple dance?
You need to rewatch it. His nipple twitches and they go up and down.
Yeah,
it's
very so funny because
Do I need to rewatch it?
Stephen Amell says that was because he was so cold, and I'm like, why were you not acting cold then? Because that's one of the criticisms I have there is, he climbs up this mountain. Compare it to Batman Begins, where he's like, I can barely stand. Here, he's just ready to have a sword fight with Ra's.
Yeah, and also the way they did that fight, it was completely out of character. Because they had him fighting as if he was this incompetent guy who didn't know how to fight, and he was just throwing a sword around. They really made him look like an amateur, and that's just not how he would have done it. But they had to, because it's the only way to remotely make us think that this Ra's al Ghul is threatening.
Yeah. And, with all due respect to Matt and Abel, when he takes his shirt off and he just looks like a guy, I'm just like, well, I'm not saying he should have gone on roids or whatever, but I'm just saying,
he didn't need to look like John Cena. He just needed to look remotely intimidating. Liam Neeson never took off his shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And had he
even how you
shirt,
present
that
yourself,
sense of threat probably would have gone. So
yeah,
for him to be shirtless, it's just like, oh well, you just have the physique of a regular dude, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's even how you present yourself as well. You can still have that physique and You can, maybe stand up straighter, maybe look not bored, because Matt Nable just looks so uninterested in the whole thing.
He's got a bored face, just like his resting bored face.
Yeah.
Just, He's got a bit of a frown going all the time. Like I said, when they comb his hair, he looks better.
Yeah.
But when he had his hair just like a normal Joe.
Oh, just
like,
flat and just ugh.
It's like he just woke up in the morning.
Yeah.
Probably did.
Do we have anything else to say about Arrow? Are you guys gonna go back for season 4?
I watched the first episode, but I mean, if it doesn't capture me, I really don't see myself getting too into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a thing I like to watch with my brothers and my dad, so that's kind of a thing I would like to do. But at the same time, if it's gonna be this more, I don't know how much I can take of that.
Like, in terms of us doing the show, like, I take no satisfaction in, like, slamming the show every week. Look, if I just watched it without having to review it, I might like it a bit more, but then when you start to really dissect it, it's when it doesn't really work, and start realizing, no, this moment really doesn't work and everything. So, I might continue watching it, but I'm not sure if it's something I want to talk about every week, because it just...
Yeah.
It's not good
painful.
for us. It's not good for fans of the show that want to listen to our show. Like, I don't want to make a show where people come in to listen to us bitch about something for the upteenth time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it gets to a point, we just won't talk about it, and, we'll talk about good things.
Yeah. Like, doing this sort of video is different because we are,
It's a group discussion.
It's a discussion,
It's not weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because we are people that like the first 2 seasons, this sort of discussion makes sense to do. And, maybe if we do continue watching, this is something we can do at the end of season 3, end of season 4. So, yeah. But, for now I'm going to keep watching, I guess, depending on how the first episode is. What about you, Sam?
Probably the same. I mean, mainly just to see if they do kill off Felicity. We've done this. It's just all coming back to me. But I mean, it's kind of similar to... I had a similar experience to Doctor Who, only it took me 7 years to realise it was never very good. But but I mean, like, there's only so much disappointment you can take before you just have to put up your hands and step away from it.
Right.
And if season 4 goes down the same, I will watch episode 1, but I don't feel compelled to come back. I'm not interested to see where the story's going to go here, because it really does feel like an end point. I don't like where the characters have been left off. I don't like the characters in general, besides perhaps Diggle, and the prospect of him getting a costume does not excite me.
Seriously, what the hell? Like, what's his costume? Unless they make him Guardian. I don't care.
Yeah.
They've already talked about how they're not making him Jon Stewart. He's not Green Lantern. David Ramsey himself has talked about the fact that if you make him a Green Lantern, it takes away that everyman sense of him. You give him superpowers, all of a sudden he's no longer the guy that's been running around with these trained assassins and people like that. He represents the regular man. He went to war, that sort of thing. He's just a guy with a gun. That's cool about him. So if you give him powers, it's like, well, defeats the purpose. So I don't know what they're gonna do for his suit. I'm not looking forward to that.
What? And like, what? You're gonna give him a mask? Like, I just don't see it working.
Yeah.
And if they, God forbid, if they did actually make him Jon Stewart, that would just show that would work as one reveal, a shitty reveal, but it would work for 5 minutes, and then we'd actually go, is he actually going to be Jon Stewart now? Are they actually, like, how would you make that work?
It's like a completely different character now.
Yeah, it's a completely different character.
It's a completely different set of rules and a universe and all these other things where it's like, okay, well, I guess Dig's a different person. It takes away from the fact that we invented a character whose name is based off of a comic book writer. This whole thing is supposed to be this brand new deal, so what's the point of doing that?
Yeah, it takes away from integrity solely for reference purposes.
Exactly.
Just to jerk off the fans and go, hey, there you go, we made him Jon Stewart.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't need that. Jon Stewart's
shall we move? Shall we move on to The Flash?
Yes, we should.
Let's talk about The Flash.
Yeah.
The Flash.
This show rocks.
Sure does. What a fun show.
Yeah. This was a really, really fun show, and I'm very happy with what we got with it.
Yeah.
And I think they made a very, very smart decision in it actually introducing us to Barry Allen in season 2 of Arrow. And I thought Grant Gustin got into that role immediately, and there hasn't been any sort of hesitation. I haven't sort of been looking to see when he will officially feel like the Flash. He's been Barry Allen this entire time. Well done to him. He
is one of the best castings they've done of a DC character, I think. He is just really good in the role. For people who sort of think of the more serious Barry Allen, I mean, he is that Barry.
He's definitely not like Wally West in the show.
No, he has his funny comedic sort of geeky moments.
He's a teenager.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a younger guy.
Young adult. Yeah.
Yeah. He's this younger guy surrounded by adults. He's he works with cops all day. I think he's fantastic, and I think he's brilliant as the Flash. I believe him as the Flash, and it's a well assembled cast. It was a well assembled cast of characters. They clearly had a plan of how they were going to do Reverse Flash and different.
Yeah, they clearly laid things out.
I think it's been a tremendous first season, and I'm very interested to see what they do with the second.
Yes. Absolutely.
Can I say my favourite thing about this show?
No.
Okay, goodbye.
Please.
You asked, so I'm gonna...
They did not, I repeat, did not use time travel as a bullshit destiny arc. They haven't used it to say Barry Allen was always destined to be the Flash. I'm so impressed with how they've done this. How they've sort of done a wink towards this not really being the Prime universe. There's another universe where the Flash did have his comic book costume, and all that stuff that you read in the comics, that all happened, and this is a different continuity, but it's the same villain who's still got that grudge. It's wonderfully realised, and it's such a complex relationship. He hates this guy's guts, but he has to get home, and so to do that, he has to create the thing that he hates. And Tom Cavanagh, or however you say his name, is like Slade Wilson. It's just brilliantly realised, and it's so good.
Yeah, I agree. Reverse Flash is one of my he is my favorite Flash villain just because of how obsessed he was. I was never a Barry Allen fan until I read the right Barry Allen stuff. And that first book being Flash Rebirth, which is a great Barry Allen story, a great story for all the speedsters in that world, and specifically Reverse Flash. That was the book that was like, wow, this guy is so ridiculously obsessed with this one person that he's willing to go to these lengths. And as you see in the show, that involves traveling back in time and murdering him as a child, and then when that doesn't work, murdering his mother. This guy's so crazy. I love it. And so whenever they were doing this in the show, I was very, very happy with it, and I'm definitely now more of a fan of Barry than I used to be, and they do him really well in the show.
Yeah, and especially the fact that with him coming from an alternate timeline, that also means we don't have to do the annoying everything is a fixed point in time and everything has to match up. This is a new continuity, and they can do things that we don't expect, and that's perfect. You want them to do the unexpected. You don't want to know what happens in the future. Barry, obviously they're going to get Barry and Iris together, but they could not if they decided not to.
Yeah, that's part of the whole show was that, they were married in the future. He has the hyphenated name. And so Eddie took that as, oh, well, you guys are destined to be together. The future told me so. Until he realizes, you know what? Screw destiny. Yeah. I can matter. Just because this guy told me I don't matter, and I don't get the girl, and I'm not the hero, doesn't mean that I can, because it's a choice. In the finale, as Dr. Stein tells him, and I love that character, we'll get into him later, you're something that scientists can't use in any form. You're a coincidence. You can't factor in that into any form of number. And that's really interesting. So he takes that and says, you know what, with that power, I can make a difference. No one's going to expect I'm going to shoot myself and save the day.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
It's a great moral message that we all make our own destinies. and we're not defined by what like you said, Anthony, in one of the Solomon Grundy, we're not defined by something that's written on a wall. You know, it's the best way they could have handled time travel.
I agree. Yeah, it's interesting to do a show with time travel and not have it like confusing and crazy and whacked out. You know, they did it enough to a point where it made sense. The Flash, that's a very big part of his history, is, you know, going through time. And, you know, he's in the comics back in the day, he had a thing called the cosmic treadmill that he would use to travel through time, you know, and like visit dinosaur times and whatnot. You know, that's just a big part of that character's universe. So to use that in the show in season 1 is really cool. That's another reason the show is so good, is we don't have to Flash Begins this. You know, we don't have to have a whole season of like, what's his, you know, is he going to call himself the Scarlet Speedster or the Blur or whatever the hell, the whole season. Yeah. We don't have to wait. He's the Flash.
Yeah.
And, you know, the whole time travel thing with Wells, or I guess Thawne, is the reason that gets done so quickly, is because he already knows who that guy is as an identity, so he's able to push that forward, you know, with his 2 disciples, Caitlin and Cisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Since you mentioned it, what did you guys think of Caitlin and Cisco as the season went on?
I enjoyed them. I don't think they're my favorite characters. There are definitely moments where both of them were, you know, they weren't exactly the best at all times, but I did enjoy them. I like Cisco. I think he's fun. He kind of represents the quote-unquote geek as far as seeing the stuff that happened in front of his face. You know, he's having a real-life sort of superhero moment. He did have his limits, you know, he did push it, but I'm excited to see exactly how he's tied into all of this, just because it's a very Jahns thing what they're doing with him, as far as having what his powers do and being involved and whatnot. So I like it. I like Cisco, and Caitlin was fine. She had her moments too. She was solid, and I want to see where she goes forward with her future as a possible supervillain as well.
Yeah, Caitlin, she's a bit... I think it's either her or it's either the character or the actress. I think I like her, but she's just a bit bland. And
that's fair.
And it's what I consider a criticism, that everyone likes her, but everyone's more excited to see her turn into a more interesting bad guy.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to see that, apparently.
Oh yeah, I mean we saw the
nice
look of that for the future, the possible future. We don't know exactly what they're going to do with that route, but they've been pushing.
I can't wait for her to star in Batman and Robin.
Hey now,
that would have been good. Yeah, I don't mind Caitlin. She's like you, Sam. She's not a character that I, you know, am ever particularly excited to see. Like, I guess if they left her out of an episode, I wouldn't be like, oh man, Caitlin wasn't there.
Where's Caitlin?
Yeah, but I like her. I like her and Cisco. I think they work particularly well together. There's some really funny moments with those characters, like in one of the last episodes of the season where Barry and Iris sort of have that big argument when Iris walks in and sees him in the Flash suit, which I always thought was sort of an awkward moment. But yeah, they have that big argument, and they're listening in when they shouldn't be. And they see Iris walking out, and they just go back to pretending to do things. And they cut to Cisco, who grabs a phone and just starts laughing. Excellent moment. Excellent.
Funny.
Especially as this, like, you know, sad, dramatic music plays in the background.
That's Michael Scott right there. That's type of humor. To be like, oh, yes. You pick up the phone, you're already in the middle of the sentence.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I like those characters. I can understand why people might not, but this is also, I feel like you have to understand the sort of show that you're watching and why these characters are there in the first place.
Right.
And I mean, I enjoy watching them, and I'm excited. I think particularly Cisco, Carlos
Vasquez.
Yeah. I think, you know, when he does his dramatic stuff, he's really good. That scene where Reverse Flash kills him is like so good, and then in the final episode when he has that scene with Eobard, and you know, he says I'm sorry, you know, not that I killed you, I'm sure I had a perfectly good reason. Like that scene, he's really good there too. he does manage to juggle the excited geek and the guy that's involved in all of this in a dramatic way. He manages to do that stuff really well, and I like the Cisco character and I like the Caitlin character, and I'm interested to see where they go, considering they are, Killer Frost and Vibe. They're characters that are set up to become other characters in the future purposely. It's not like Dig, where it's like, since his character's popular, we should make him a superhero.
Those people are characters that we know are going to eventually become something.
Exactly.
And, like I said, there is the option of them taking their own paths.
Yeah.
It's just like season 1 has done a lot. We introduced a lot of villains this season. We introduced a lot of Flash ideas with different, speedsters and time travel, and so much happens.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they didn't feel the need to do Vibe and Killer Frost immediately, because that was one of the. When they were cast, they were like, Danielle Panabaker and Vasquez, these people were cast as the eventual Vibe and Killer Frost. That's how people knew it. So to do a whole season where we don't even touch that, we touch on them at the very end.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Make them characters first, and
Exactly.
then give them personas.
Yeah.
I like that.
What did you guys think of the Barry Iris romance? Because sometimes, I certainly liked it a lot of the time. I like the actress that plays Iris. I think anyone that doesn't like her, it's a bit of an unfounded reason, just because she's with another guy. That's not exactly her fault.
Yeah.
But I thought the one time I didn't think it worked was when they needed it to work, in a sense that when they had that the tremendous cliffhanger where he has to stop a tsunami from Weather Wizard and goes back in time. The romance between them suddenly was like they were going to get together, and it had only appeared for an episode. I perhaps would have liked it if that was a bit more prominent in episodes prior, but
they explain
otherwise,
it. Scientifically, they explain it.
Sure, but like the whole time they would be getting intimate in that episode. Or like getting close to each other, and then every time Eddie would glance over, they would like step back, and it just seemed like where's this coming from? But yeah, like you said, they covered it mainly and I thought the episode after was a perfect companion piece to that, because I really worried it was going to be really crap because of that cliffhanger, but Captain Cold rocks.
Amazing.
Oh,
He was cold as ice.
You're talking to two people that did not care for this character at all. Yeah. This was a character I guess we could say just didn't understand. We didn't understand what was the point of this guy who doesn't he's a supervillain that doesn't kill. He just has ice. He's a bank robber. Sandman, Shocker, half the Spider-Man villains are that. Why should I care about this guy?
Yeah.
And then you see him in a show like this, and you go, oh, that's why he's interesting, because he's different, He's got an agenda.
Because DC had so many ice-themed villains.
So many ice everything.
Yeah. They were already setting up Killer Frost in this show. Obviously, everybody knows Mr. Freeze. For Killer Frost, for Captain Cold to be the character that they, one of the main Flash villains, it's like, man, Flash's villains are so lame. But that's what's awesome about them, is that they are kind of lame. Like Spider-Man's villains in a lot of ways, you sort of look at them, it's like, well, it's just a giant zoo. But, but they are awesome if you know the characters.
Here they are, they're just elements.
Yeah.
Wind, fire, ice, they're a band.
Exactly. Not everyone can have a rogues gallery of the Joker and Two-Face and, these characters that are, those characters have been fleshed out in multiple incarnations. Yeah. So everyone knows the Batman villains. It's like, I think the X-Men have a lot of really strong villains, but people don't really know them because the movies have done Magneto and William Stryker 1,000 times. So, for the Flash's villains, it was kind of like, they're doing these cheesy villains, but doing them really well. Weather Wizard, we got 2 of him, But yeah, I think Captain Cold was tremendous, and as with Heatwave as well, just a tremendous duo. Obviously, these guys have excellent chemistry, after Prison Break. But
playing the exact same thing, the brain and the brawn,
turning that on its head and them just straight up being criminals.
And also embracing the cheese 100%.
Yeah, and I don't think people give enough credit to Dominic Purcell. I think he is excellent. Just as a crazy, wacky fireman, and not fireman like a firefighter, like just a dude who loves fire. When he debuts and he's like, they call you the Heat, I'm the Heat, and he has fun and loves fire.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That can describe all the Flash villains on the show. So they fully acknowledge what they are embracing. You know, they realize who they are, and the fact that, like, name Weather Wizard, Captain Cold, they all are like, we're on a comic show. We're not gonna like overdo it, like say Cupid from the season.
Oh God, how did we forget that?
No, I'll tell you what. There's a reason we forgot about her.
She sucked
because she was terrible. They all have a nice level of not going too, I'm in a comic book. Like, they did it well, and I really enjoy that.
My criticism of actors when they play super villains is that they suddenly realize, well, I've got to be like, 60s Batman. Like, that's what they think of, or they think of the Joker, like, I've got to be a villain. Like, what's his name in Arrow? Count Vertigo.
Vertigo.
The first one?
The first one was very much that. And, and
the second one's not exactly much better.
Sorry, what was that?
The second Vertigo isn't exactly much better either, though.
No, he's just bland.
We didn't mention him either. He had, 2 episodes?
Yeah.
He came back and we didn't even talk about him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Only to have the sequences where they fight themselves.
Yeah.
Or Sarah.
Like, when Arrow released that, big sort of illustrated poster of, the big moments in the season, and they had Green Arrow fighting Oliver Queen, it's like, you know what? I completely forgot about that. That's how integral it was.
Yeah, that's symbolic, but other than that, it's completely, whatever. You wouldn't remember why that happened. Count Vertigo, you'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was a great sequence, but yeah. The Rogues were done really well in The Flash, in that, yes, they are kind of silly villains, and when you put them all in a big room together, like in one of the final episodes, that was such a great episode, and to your point earlier, Sam, with Cold as Ice playing on the jukebox.
He writes his request, which we'll never find out what it was.
He writes a request on a napkin, and Barry goes, I can't do that. You'd think if it was money, he'd go, no, I'm not paying you.
Yeah.
But instead it was, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, what was it?
He wrote down butts.
Yeah, a night with Caitlin or something. Like, we can only imagine what it would have been. But just Wentworth Miller, fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing these guys return in Legends of Tomorrow. There was that really awkward moment in the finale where they showed Captain Cold looking to the skies.
In broad daylight, he's just walking.
He was still there, he was still in the city.
Yeah.
Just walking on the street.
Yeah, he was just there, and...
Oh God, can I just say, when Hawkgirl appears in that one little shot, again, Dad and I were watching this. I tuned in at the last 5-10 minutes, and he has no idea who this woman is. And the second she showed up, he just goes, "Put your teeth away, love."
That is, to everyone else, that is just a random stranger. Unless you watch it tomorrow or you follow the news like we do, you don't know who that is.
She didn't even get any dialogue in that supposed trailer.
She doesn't talk, apparently.
No,
From what we've seen of this character, she is a mute.
Yeah.
A mute bird girl.
Awesome.
Hence why I could not be less interested in seeing her.
Yeah.
It's
because they haven't advertised her at all.
Both the Hawks suck. I'm never gonna get past that. I hate Hawkman. I hate Hawkgirl.
Yeah. Thanagarians are not any characters I really want to...
No. Oh, God, they're so complicated. They don't even have real wings. They're fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Anyway. Yeah, Captain Cold rules.
We got Mark Hamill back.
We did.
As the trickster. That was really cool. He was
Run!
He was having a lot of fun with this, and I was happy for him.
I love Mark Hamill in anything he's in, because he just goes for it.
Oh, exactly.
He loves being in stuff.
The closest we'll ever get to see of him playing the Joker in live action.
Oh, yeah. The scenes with him in his cell being, Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, yeah.
That was great.
And also, it was a nice little wink to fans of the 1990s series.
Exactly. And
They even had his suit on display.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
accurate too, because that's how it is in the comics. There are two tricksters. There's the original one and a new one, so they were able to play it off as so many different things, and be accurate in so many different ways.
And they found ways for him to do scenes with John Wesley Shipp. It was for fans of that show. It was really cool to see that.
Yeah,
You know what? That never even occurred to me.
I can respect that in a way, because I never watched that show really. I just know that Mark Hamill was on that before he was the Joker, so that's kind of an interesting thing to think about. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can respect that, knowing that there's the old Flash and the old Trickster, like they're in a scene together. It's like, oh, that's cool, good for them. He had a lot of fun, just like every other villain. So I'm glad that he could be a part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% like excited over his protege, but
No,
But
but I mean, it is what it was,
yeah. Although I gotta admit, that scene where he calls him son, that could have played out really like poorly in any other scenario, but because it was these two completely just eccentric, happy actors, happy to do this, and the scene just completely embracing the silliness, I thought it was executed perfectly.
Yeah, I mean that's
And all I did was
feel.
smile. I was so funny.
It's funny 'cause I didn't care too much for the Star Wars reference of "I am your father," but yeah, I can see why they did it. That actor that plays the younger Trickster, was also young Dexter in that show, and it's funny seeing him play a character that's far more, crazy villain. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast once where they're talking about that episode, and he goes, "Yeah, there's a fun Star Wars reference, and then there's a cringeworthy Breaking Bad reference." And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty accurate."
Breaking Bad reference?
Whenever he was like, "This will be my Mona Lisa, my Breaking Bad season 5. They gave me a cable in prison, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't kill the guards."
Yeah.
It's like, what?
I don't like it when they reference, and this was part of Cisco's deal, was that he would reference pop culture a lot, and
Inception.
like he also referenced Inception that one time, and it's like,
Right.
oh, but so Christopher Nolan exists in this universe apparently.
But he didn't make the Dark Knight series.
Yeah.
So it's a shittier It's a shittier
Yeah.
universe.
Like, yeah, Inception just isn't quite as good. Because it wasn't made by
It's
Chris Nolan.
alright, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's a really funny thought.
Yeah.
I thought Eddie was. I found that CW with both Arrow season 1 and Flash season 1, they've both pursued this thing where they know that fans expect something. And they expect a particular character to take up the mantle of a villain, and then they use the Harvey Dent theory and turn it on its head. You either die a hero, or you'll see yourself long enough to become. You see,
Live long
you either
enough.
die a hero,
See long
or you
enough,
live long
or you
enough
become
to
Daredevil.
see yourself become a villain. I mean, when you see them take the hero road, it's heartbreaking, but it's so good.
Yeah, they did that twice. That's the thing about the Flash and Arrow season 1. It's the same goddamn thing. We thought Tommy Merlin was going to become, we thought it was going to be Harry Osborn and take up his father's mantle. And then he dies, and it's like, oh wow, what a new thing. And then the same thing happened here.
And like before we find out that there is
But they can't do that
person
again.
who is Merlin and another person who's Reverse Flash, we presumed it was them. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
We presumed Tommy Merlin was just going to be Merlin, and we presumed that Eddie Thorne was just Eobard Thorne, and I kept on looking for moments where it's like, okay, like where are they going to hint at it? And a couple of times they sort of did. Like when he was just blatantly making out with Iris in front of Barry, it's like
look at
this
me.
is Reverse Flash just rubbing it in Barry's face right now, but it wasn't that at all. So that's pretty cool.
Aw, he was a nice guy.
He's just a nice dude.
I was really relieved when they did a clever thing in the trailer for the WonderCon trailer, because they showed a shot of him shooting those cops from the episode when it's the shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And I got really angry because I thought that was their big twist, that Eddie had been double-crossing people the whole time.
Right.
Luckily, that was not the case.
Yeah.
And also, luckily, the shot of him getting with Caitlin was not serious.
They knew.
Yeah.
It was a ruse.
Yeah. I didn't watch that trailer on purpose. I tend not to watch the trailers for the episodes as well, just because I like to sort of, I guess, be surprised by
Smart
stuff.
move, yeah. Especially like you said in the Arrow finale, whenever they show Oliver being like, "My name is Oliver Queen," it's like, oh, well then.
Yeah, see, I didn't see that, but I, of course, had to read that everywhere. Like, you know.
Every article is like, Oliver Queen says his name out loud in a plane.
Well, that was the title of the episode.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. On a quick note, for
there was
Arrow,
no escape.
Wouldn't it have been kind of cool if we didn't know he was still a good guy that whole time, and then that moment came?
Yeah.
Exactly. That would have been. That would have made the scene better.
Yeah.
That would have made it impactful, and it would have made Ra's al Ghul not look like a complete twat.
Yeah, because he had fooled the audience as well. Like, when he straight up just threw the gas in the thing, it's like, well, we know you're not evil, so obviously you just poisoned everyone with sleep gas.
Yeah,
and the Dig, whole, the former army man, is not smart enough to check everyone's pulse, but...
Yeah, and even, like, Felicity, it really annoyed me when he went in there. He'd already talked to them as well. He'd said, like, you need to not talk. And that clearly showed that was Oliver and not a brainwashed idiot, because otherwise he would have just ignored them.
Yeah.
And then Felicity potentially mucks up his plan by being like, Oliver, if you're going to do something, do it now. And I'm just sitting there being like, shut up!
Yeah.
Shut up, let him do his thing.
Yeah. He's doing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait for the flash here.
And they're all so stupid. You asked us to trust you and we trusted you. That's the plan. Catch on. Aren't you supposed to be like a brainiac?
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no, not Brainiac.
Hey, don't blame this mess on me. Yeah, and but back to the Flash, I guess.
Back to
the Flash. Actually, when the Flash did show up in Arrow, I liked the Arrow episode of the crossover far more than the Flash's episode.
Yeah, it's just because he had a really lame villain, and it was just an episode of, like, what is happening, you know? Like, there was no real reason for Arrow to be there, but whenever Flash shows up, it felt more justifiable.
Part one was an excuse to have them fight. That was it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the whole thing, and they even called it... Didn't they name it Arrow versus Flash?
They did.
Yeah, and the next one is the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, so it's basically just a Three's Company misunderstanding scenario. And the fight was interesting, I guess, but we don't care. They should be catching a villain, and it's a cool bit, but yeah, that's why the part one just wasn't really rolling. Part two actually had a story, and it had, I was actually really surprised by how well they juggled the tones of each show, and they didn't pretend like that wasn't the case, and they referenced it, and part two just worked.
Yeah, absolutely. And Captain Boomerang. Of course it worked.
Yes.
Yeah. What else do we have to talk about with the Flash?
Should we talk about the finale?
Yeah, let's.
This was terrific. I was gonna say, I was wondering how they would do the whole. I was watching the finale thinking. I was watching the finale getting angry, because all we're watching is signs that Barry should not go and change the past. But I understand why he wanted to, and why he sort of strongly considered it. That entire sequence when he's back in the past, and he sees himself telling him not to do it, and he has that moment with his mum, all of that was perfect. Yeah. The scene with his mum was shockingly well written, and the actors were fantastic. Because I was watching it thinking... Because I watched the trailer. I'm too impatient. I watch trailers. But it showed the clip where he's like, "It's me, Mum," and I was like, "Oh, well, there you go. He saves her." And at the same time, I was like, "What? He's going to reveal that it's him? Like, she's not going to get that." But in the scene, he's just like, "This isn't going to make any sense, but it's me." And it was just done so well. And Grant Gustin, I'm glad they finally had him. Like, for the first 5 or so episodes of the season, he was like crying in all of them, and I even tweeted about it saying, if you want us to genuinely feel, if you want it to be impactful when he cries, stop him from. You need to stop him crying every episode. Yeah. And this was so difficult to watch because he's just in such pain, just watching his mum die and trying to talk to her. It was just so well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on the show, but I mean, I love the way they set that whole episode up. he's asking everyone, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And, people are telling him different things like, no, you shouldn't do that. You could screw up time. You could die yourself. Or, you should do this. Stop thinking about others. Think about yourself for the first time in your life. Do it for you. You deserve this.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, it's himself who tells him, no, don't do it. He finally has his answer. He finally has someone that he can trust on his opinion and know better, and it's himself. He needed that answer to come from him, and it does in a sense of, him being from the future. And I loved that. And he has to accept it, and he has to listen to his mother dying for the first time. I mean, that's the first time he's ever heard that.
Yeah. And
so
it's,
painful.
it's...
I loved it.
it's an original take on what is commonly known as a famous story from the comics, but it's one that makes sense, and it complements the way they've been writing these characters. It didn't feel like them again jerking off fanboys, which I really, because I saw people commenting like, oh, we're gonna do Flashpoint, and I was watching it thinking, well, why do we want to see that? I mean, we've already had a movie. And we know it doesn't end well.
It's way too soon for that.
Yeah.
I mean, how's he supposed to be confused about all these people who they are if he hasn't met anyone yet?
Yeah.
I mean, half that is half that is seeing the world in this dystopian way and having Hal Jordan, not Green Lantern, and Thomas Wayne, Batman, and the government having this group of superheroes and no Superman. Superman is the shining example of that.
Yeah.
It's a world without the savior.
And Barack Obama's good friend Cyborg.
Yeah, Cyborg, like I said, they're the group of superheroes that work for the government. It's all weird and wonky and it's like, Aquaman and Wonder Woman at war. What would you do if it was the CW? Like, you could do the whole Oliver Queen is...
just be Joe's an alcoholic.
Yeah, it's like, you would just
it would be a really crappy version.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as impactful because you don't have a world to play with yet. You haven't built your world enough. You have Arrow and, you could say other things, but at the same time, it's just, there's not enough yet that's impactful, like no Superman, a gun-toting Batman, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I also must say that I like how they're constantly making his powers interesting.
Yeah.
How they're always saying, there's this other thing you can do, and I hope to see more of that stuff. I hope the next season is more Barry. I understand he will obviously have Kalen and Cisco in his ear talking to him as he does his thing, but it would be nice to see him take what he's learned from this season and using them, and them not having to make a big thing about it, like he just does naturally phase through a wall to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just like to see that.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool the way they set up that whole thing, because that's a very Barry thing to do, is the whole phasing thing. He's the only speedster that can do it. Jay Garrick, Wally West, Bart, they can't phase through solid objects. It's only Barry in the comics, and it actually set that up to the point where Wally West, it's almost like a mental block. Like, it was a thing where Barry was the original Flash for him, so he doesn't want to overstep any boundaries, and it's interesting. And the fact that the Speed Force all stems from Barry Allen and his whole experiment, that also gives him a bit more of a push compared to other ones. So to see him experience these things like time travel and vibrating his molecules and manipulating his voice was really cool too, just because it just shows you what a range you can do. Because it's like, oh, you can run fast. And? Well, it's like, well, and this.
He can do all these other things.
He can do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, that the casual fan doesn't really know.
Take his arms and go...
Yeah. That was my one criticism of Quicksilver in the New Avengers. He's a fine character, but I don't think they took... And granted, you have 1,000 other characters to deal with in that film.
Yeah.
But there weren't many visually artistic things they did with his powers to make him stand out from the way we saw him in X-Men.
And I guess sort of in the defense of that movie, because he's brand new, he's only just gotten those powers, it's not like he's had a lot of opportunity to use it against people.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So I guess there's stuff like that. I do love the moment where he just tries to grab Mjolnir and he goes flying with it.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, but so I guess in that sense, you've already got the Flash on TV, you've got this other Quicksilver in the X-Men universe. There's only, I guess, only so much they could do.
That is an
unfair
comparison on my part. Yeah, that is an unfair comparison on my part. The Flash has had episodes among episodes to do this stuff.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, it is interesting that we've got 3 speedsters and 2 of them are the same character in major pop culture now.
Isn't that bizarre? This has been the year of speedsters, or the past couple of years.
Age of speed.
Yeah, 2014 and 15, like we've seen 3 different speedster characters, and
that's cool.
The helmet of another one.
And the helmet, yes. The lost helmet of Jay Garrick.
Jay Garrick.
That's the subline of season 2. The lost helmet.
Exactly.
Are they gonna do multiverse?
I would assume. I mean, I have to say that's what this has been building towards, is the fact that there's multiple universes and worlds and opportunities. I mean, the fact that
because that's cool.
I think that is awesome. That's
well, they can just
great.
From that they can turn to another universe that is either more comic booky, or this universe has Jay Garrick, or this universe has Batman, or etc. They can do a whole bunch of different stuff with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
they can have their cake and eat it too.
They can do 3-4 episodes or so of Barry going to these different dimensions since he ran up into that black hole, and then eventually he and other speedsters can help him get back to his continuity.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean,
all
that's
the
how
Flashes
Jeff
team
Johns
up.
explained the whole TV thing.
Yeah.
That was, Jeff Johns is one of those guys where he can help sell things for you and say, like, oh, we've got Gotham, and we've got the CW, and we've got Supergirl coming up, and we have all these movies. Just think of it as you would comics. Think of it as multiple universes, know? You've got the CW universe, you've got this universe, and just imagine them all separately in their different ways, and if there's an infinite number of universes, maybe they'll touch every now and then, but it's very limited. How often do those universes, unless it's this big event, they don't have to cross over, but we all know they exist.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, just think of it like a comic book.
Yeah.
Just think that, this is this Earth, and this Earth, and this Earth, and that's cool, and the Flash can tap into that kind of world. That's really cool.
One of the comparisons I often make is up until 2010, really, like, we had, the Marvel universe on film, all these different continuities. Like Fox owned 3 different properties, and, they were still all separate, and rightfully so. It's not like we ever expected to see the Fantastic Four, Daredevil, and X-Men crossover.
What a crossover.
Yeah, but, Spider-Man was separate, the Punisher was separate, Blade was separate, we had all these different continuities, so then, finally, like, we have 2 that are in the same continuity with Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk, and then we properly started building the world after Iron Man 2. So it's funny that, until that point, I remember people saying, I don't want to see one big continuity with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, I like them being separate.
That's kind of a mess.
Yeah, and then as soon as it happened, it was kind of like, well, when can we get Spider-Man in that?
When are we going to get Wolverine in the Avengers? Fight the Hulk.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, calm down.
It's funny how Marvel have sort of changed that, because before that, I think people were kind of content with these universes being different. No one thought back in the 90s that they were going to see Dean Cain show up in a Batman movie,
No.
Oh, it's completely kicked the door open. It's changed the cinematic landscape. I mean, everyone's trying to do it now.
You've changed things.
Whatever. You've changed things.
I just make that trailer.
Talking to Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
God, do you remember back in the day when Hugh Jackman was gonna make a cameo in Spider-Man?
Yeah.
How bizarre.
There was, talk of him, like, maybe showing up in Avengers at some point, like, before they, suddenly realized that's completely impossible because, money.
Completely impossible.
Yeah. And I mean, he still talks about it because I think he wants to do it, but...
Please,
I've got one film left, can I please just show up? Just put me in a photo in the background like you did Stan Lee in Daredevil. But yeah, so I think Marvel have really, like you said, Sam, kicked the door open in that sense, and now it's kind of like everyone just expects, this must be in the same continuity now, right? So with, you got the CW universe, and, you've got Supergirl, you've got Gotham, you've got Constantine, you've got iZombie, you've got all these different properties that are under the DC TV umbrella.
We got Sandman coming up.
Teen Titans coming up. Yeah.
Who knows what else,
It's interesting times.
Indeed.
Anything? What else do we want to talk about with the Flash? I thought of something in the second last episode. We finally have like a reverse Flash versus Flash showdown, and then Flash is saved by the Hamill family. And
I thought that was underwhelming.
Yeah, that was a little funny to me. It's like, sorry, we got your message, and it's like, wait, what? Since when do you guys hang out? Like,
that was awkward in.
They don't talk.
Yeah, that was awkward in both finales, because they both had the cameo, and then they both said, well, this is clearly a huge threat, but we've kind of got our own stuff to go to.
How does the timeline match up there is what I want to know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, wait, Arrow went back to Central City without the League of Shadows knowing?
Yep.
And then said, I have a plane to catch. And he went back.
And somewhere between Oliver supposedly killing his friends and then going with the Omega virus to Starling City.
Firestorm can fly. Oliver Queen has to get on a plane.
Yeah, so there's that, and somewhere between stopping the Reverse Flash and then the opening of the season finale where he talks to the Reverse Flash, he goes to Nanda Parbat to save Team Arrow.
He could have done it. I mean, it took him 2 seconds to take out the League of Assassins and check out their hot tub. He could have just ended the Arrow season right there.
He could have,
and then gone and finished his own show.
I mean, I guess, but it's just kind of funny to think that, okay, they threw Wells in prison, and then he went and did this and came back.
I gotta go do this. I gotta go finish another show.
Yeah, oh, sorry, there's another thing I need to do. I'll be back.
Save a series.
Yeah.
I will say I did like that. I thought his line when he goes, oh, you guys got a hot tub?
It's great because I love that because he shows up in this place where he's like he hasn't reached this level yet. You know, he's fighting bank robbers and things, and so he gets here and he's like, "This is like a real dungeon."
Yeah, exactly.
It's really funny.
It's funny that like here's this world that has nothing to do with the League of Assassins, the famous Batman villains. Like here he is, just wow, this is not where I'm meant to be.
Yeah. I'm okay with this.
Yeah,
this is so weird.
I fight superpowered people every day. This is weird though.
So, what are you guys thinking about DC's Legends of Tomorrow?
I mean, there's not much to go off of at this point, but I mean, I'm definitely intrigued just because I need to see how this team is going to work.
Yeah,
I need to see how this is going to play out.
I was really excited for it when I thought it was going to be we're going to deal with a different character every episode.
An anthology series.
Yeah, like an anthology.
Yeah, and then there was also the thought of maybe it'll be like Heroes, where we just focus on different characters, and some of them might even be in different timelines, aka.
And maybe they cross over.
Yeah. And then it was okay. They're a big team, and it's like, well.
They're the Avengers.
Yeah, like Rip Hunter and like all this stuff. To me, that's the one I was least excited for of the three possibilities. And yeah, I don't know. It's I'm definitely excited to see it because I like these characters that they're using. Most of the characters. I mean, we don't know Hawkgirl and we don't know Rip Hunter. And we don't really know the shadow of Vandal Savage. But it's interesting to see where they go. I mean, it looks like Flash is...
Oh, God, who are they going to cast as Vandal Savage?
Yeah.
Probably someone
Matt Mabel again.
Hopefully, yeah.
We need an actual threat this time.
He would have been better as Vandal Savage when you think about it.
I guess.
Maybe. I don't know. That might
Vandal
be.
Savage is like a caveman.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He might be. He might have been better.
Yeah.
Josh Gad. He's got a bit of a caveman face.
He's a good caveman.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have we got anything else to say?
I love The Flash. This has been a fun show. It's not like I've loved every episode, but I think it's just a really fun show. If you watch it from start to finish as one giant season, like I did Daredevil. Like if I watched certain episodes of Daredevil on their own, I might have gone, no, this episode wasn't as good. But when you watch it as one giant cohesive thing, it's really good.
Yeah.
If you do that with The Flash, I might feel the same. So. Yeah.
We talked about how back in like the pilot, it's interesting to kind of see like Wells, the way he reacts to Barry, knowing the information we have now.
So I watched the pilot the other day on my flight to Texas, and it was interesting seeing Wells in particular react to things like he goes, "Welcome back, Mr. Allen. We have a lot to discuss." So you just go like, wow, I mean, he's a supervillain, but you don't know it as the viewer at that time.
Yeah.
Joe is such a different character in the pilot. That's a character we didn't really talk about, but Joe is fantastic.
I love Joe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Great dad. You know, he's just one of those great dad characters.
And just great actor, too.
Yeah, he's
Every scene, he's just on point.
Him and John Wesley Shipp, brilliant.
John Wesley Shipp, another great actor that, you know, obviously it's fan service him being here, but he really fits and he feels like Barry's dad. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's not forced fan service.
No, not at all.
He's a good actor, first of all.
Yeah.
And clearly he respects the material and he buys it. You know, he doesn't ham it up or anything like that. That's great. It shows a real respect to the older series. And, yeah, it was such a logical decision, make him Barry's dad.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I wonder if they will match that with Supergirl and Dean Cain.
No.
Nope.
You can't never really see him again.
No, he's in it for 1 second, really.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because now that, you know, I would really like to see more of him.
Yeah, having met Dean Cain recently.
Yeah, he's a
I wish
nicest
nothing
guy
but
ever.
good things for this man.
He's in a movie with a big show. He'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
Are you guys... Am I the only one that's starting to get a little worried over every network superhero show having a team of people in the background to help the superhero? Because it looks like Supergirl's going to do that as well with like the CIA or whatever.
Maybe. I don't know. But that's the thing. Henshaw is a bit more... He doesn't look like he's going to work with them. I guess you could say like Toyman is the closest thing to that.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, but I don't know if they're going to be as involved.
Big black Jimmy.
Sexy Jimmy.
Sexy Jimmy.
Sexy James.
Just a dude who's a...
I've totally taken pictures of Superman.
Oh, is Superman my best friend? Oh, you mean Superman, my best friend? Yeah, I know him all the time. He called me Jimmy.
I really want them to show a picture of him as a ginger black teenager.
Oh, that'd be
Ginger
amazing.
white kid.
Yeah. Flip the hat.
Oh, James.
There was the particle accelerator went off one day.
Turns him into an African American. He's a guy who's legitimately done Calvin Klein commercials, like underwear commercials with his sweet abs. Here he is playing Jimmy
Sam
Olsen.
Huntington never did that.
No. Mark McClure never has done such a thing. Jack Larson.
What about Aaron
Ashmore.
Aaron Ashmore, I like
He's a
that.
good-looking dude.
I mean,
It's
Sean
alright.
Ashmore took that naked photo wrapped in the Canadian flag.
As you do.
As you do.
Yes,
All
of course.
Canadian actors
That's
do this
just
at
a
some point,
Sunday
I
for
presume.
Canadians.
He's 3 different nationalities, just presuming how Canadians live.
Wow. So yeah, The Flash is a really good show. I highly recommend it. This was a solid, really good start to the series, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where it takes us.
Yeah, it's interesting to compare the coherency of each season. Arrow feels like it was not coherent at all, and Flash, Flash. I'm compelled to watch the whole season again now,
Yeah.
because of how well it plays out as a story, and it has a beginning and end, and it just works.
I kind of wondered, like, is the team just spending all their time on the Flash, and therefore Arrow suffered? But, you know, I don't know. I guess it's a combination of things. But the Flash was really on point this whole season, and I really enjoyed it. And like I said, there are definitely episodes I enjoyed more than others. But it's a season that I think was really solid, and I'm excited for the future of the show.
Yes.
As am I.
And it
Well, guys.
actually ended on a cliffhanger, and where the first season of Arrow left on a cliffhanger where you thought they were going to pick up straight from there, and they didn't. But that didn't really hurt the second season. There's no way they can't follow up exactly from the moment where we finished the Flash. So
Yeah, they can't say, oh, a few months ago there was a big old hole in the sky. Fix that right up, didn't
Yep,
I?
yeah,
Oh,
it was
you
all
did a
good.
very good job.
yeah.
Maybe the black hole sucks up Oliver and Felicity's car.
Oh God. I'm happy.
Let's do that. There we go. We're better writers than the Arrow writers. Well, guys, thanks for joining, as always. It's been fun, as always. Thanks to everyone for listening. And if you guys want to hear more of Kirk and Anthony, you can do so by checking out the Solomon Grundy Podcast, which I cannot recommend enough. It's both funny, insightful, It's just these guys just know what they're talking about, and my do you have fun listening to it. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.